on. Now, the Jesus story, Jesus truly, folks, this may be a button pusher for you, but Jesus never existed in the way that the Catholic Church has coerced people into believing and has marketed this being. Even one of your popes around Renaissance area, one of the Leos, said, we've gotten so much great mileage out of this Jesus deception. All right? Take the pressure off of the now, blame the Leos, all right? So, that's 1500. They didn't decide the Jesus story truly and the whole biblical story until 325 AD. Yet zero, when time was reset, you ever reset the mileage in your clock or timers or what? So time was reset 2,000 years ago, plus or minus a decade or two, because it was the beginning of a new counting of time, which is called celestial time. And celestial time was devised by Anu, the emperor. We'll call Anu the emperor. But he is considered to be the God Almighty in heaven, the great God Anu. How did he get to be the great God of Nibiru? He won a wrestling match. That's what the records say. He won a wrestling match. And he wrestled Alalu. That's another story. So, Anu, the great God in heaven, he's the emperor of all things. He has his two sons, Enlil and Enki. You know the story. So then Enki is not legitimate heir. He's simply by consort. Enki has a son called Marduk. Marduk is born on Nibiru. So he has great stature. They all come to Earth. They have all these kids born on Earth. They're not as important. If you're born on Nibiru, you come from the place. So Marduk always felt that his father, Enki, who was a genius, whose predilection is water, Enki is also known as Neptune. His half-brother, Enlil, would be known as Jehovah Yahweh. He's the God of the Christians, the Jews. Enlil ran Abraham. Abraham was a CIA agent for Enlil. That makes sense? He was a secret service, sort of undercover agent for Enlil. You remember Abraham started 3 major religions with 3 different children, and it is those religions that all fight each other to this day in the old Anunnaki space portal of the Middle East. It starts to make sense. Once you know the story, it all comes together. So how do they run this? They know that they are going to recreate regime changes. Just as Charles is wondering, am I going to get it from the Queen? Is she going to kick out? Or is she going to skip me and give it to my maybe son, William? Yes, it's important to always, when you are looking at kings and queens, to say, who's your real daddy? It's very important. Now, now you are in basically what is called regime change. This is why all the turmoil is taking place. Marduk passed himself off 4,000 years ago as a Jesus figure. He was the son that was sacrificed, that was not allowed to be king, because he wasn't the legitimate heir. And so he set up, putting himself on the cross. He changed the name of Nibiru to Marduk when his age came around. He was responsible in 2024 for the nuclear war that happened in the Middle East. He was a byproduct of it. Actually, it was relatives of his and his cousin Ninurta and his son Nabu. They went at it. They nuked the Sinai. They nuked the Indus Valley, today Pakistan. They nuked, they've had fights everywhere. And then the winds came and they destroyed things. And Marduk felt that was his sign, I'm now in charge. To make it simple, he took on the Christ role. The age is changed about 2,000, 2,100 years later. You call it the age of Christ. He once again wanted control over this age, and he is once again announcing the second return, because he's the one nailed to the cross. He's the one that controls the cross, and he does not want to allow any of his siblings, his cousins, any others to gain control.